Hello, Dennis. Can you hear me?
Hello, Justin.
Oh, you can. Good. How was your episode? Your recording?
It was okay. I'm disappointed.
Hang on, one second. Let's fix something.
So I
Yeah,
come
pull
in
up your
here busting
britches.
lips. Wow.
I know. It's showing you
Hey,
his
Dennis.
boxers and everything.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's my wife's. We are rocking and rolling now. We are good. We are live.
I hope you waited before you mooned everybody,
Did I?
or waited until after you mooned everybody.
I didn't have that up, so we're good. I don't have that screen on yet, but yeah, we were live. No one saw that though, thankfully. Why? What's wrong
But
with
as
it?
long as I'm on the air, they'll know about
What about that one time you turn around and grab something and you see your it was your boxers or something.
it. One of the many benefits of being an inner circle member.
I guess so. All right.
Well,
So
hello, friends and brothers. Welcome to Masonic Improvement, where the conversation is always, but the spirits are lively, and it's all brothers all the time, except for when it's not.
it's always Masonic and we're always improving. So there you go.
Well, I don't know about that. That's a very presumptuous statement there, but we try real hard.
Hello, Austin White.
Hello.
Are you a
Oh,
Mason? Do it. Have we met before? It's been so long. How have you been?
I'm surprised you're awake.
I'm working from home tomorrow.
Oh, okay. How are things down
Nice.
in Temple area?
Oh, that'd have been fun if you came to the grotto meeting yesterday.
I was just about to ask you when that was. I need to come get my fez.
Yeah, and get your dues card while you're at it. That's the
Yeah,
only
I
way
should
we hand
probably
them
do that
out.
too.
Wow, you're fezless.
Yeah, I'm fezless. Well, at least they got one for me. My other grotto didn't even process my check, so we won't go there though.
Man,
Yeah.
I
That's
have
it.
my grotto fez, but I don't have my shrine fez. But
Mm,
they've got it. They're just waiting to cap me.
to cap you. They do capping for shrine.
Kill shot, kill shot.
I was
Yeah,
there when Dennis got his fet. I was there when you got yours.
Me?
Yeah,
at the grotto. Yeah.
at the ceremonial.
What are you talking about?
When you got the when you had a case of Providence and got a Knox Lux Fez instead of an Altex one at the ceremonial.
Yeah, I haven't gotten Knox Lux Fez yet though. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
you got to come down and get it.
I know. But I thought you were talking about like a shrine ceremony. I was like, I'm not even in the
No.
shrine.
Oh God, no. I'm talking about actual fun.
Oh, okay. So those are pretty
Well,
good.
there's a lot of fun down in Alameda now.
No,
Just saying.
you
Oh,
know what, you know what's fun is when visitors come to your Yorkright meeting and see your chapter working off book.
who are you directing that at?
That's just a general
Man,
statement
Oh,
not
okay.
me, not me,
because
because I don't show up to my York.
Temple chapter's been off book since September completely.
Man, off the books, huh?
Off the roids.
Sounds clandestine. Off the books.
Yes, I
Yeah.
know. Congratulations. I
That's
know
huge.
that's a great. It's huge,
So,
huge.
are we talking about opening full form off the book so everybody
I
knows
have
their part?
every meeting has been the first two meetings I allowed them because there were guys in new spots so they could learn their parts.
Yeah,
But we went cold turkey off books in September.
that's good.
Very
I
nice.
when my granddad passed away, I got all of his old Masonic belongings, and he had the old Yorkright
Oh, the
cipher
little
books.
ones?
Yeah, like the little cipher books for Yorkright,
Mhm.
and so it predated before they just went full text. And I'm telling you, that's when things started getting rough because when I got my degrees, and it was a long time ago now, but when I got my York Rat degrees and I went to my first York Rat meeting, and they're all standing there
I
trying to read along, and they can't even like it's plain text in front of them. They can't even keep up with that or do the signs or anything. I was very quickly
I
like
I
discouraged.
I allow pro tems to use books because they don't know the rule. Like it's not fair.
Hmm.
But we're gonna do uh we're gonna do a graded opening and closing at some point.
Cool.
You know, what's really awesome is that the experience I got when I joined was off book. So when I joined up in McKinney, um, hey
Oh,
guys,
McKinney.
that's right. Hail ode to McKinney. You all should for very good reason. They at that time they did everything off book, and the degrees were all off book, and you could tell the people that did the degrees knew the work. And that was my first experience with David Rogers, and he was just one of many that made a profound uh, statement on my Freemasonry.
Brother Rogers is something else, man. That dude
Oh,
is. I
I had never
adore that
had
guy.
I never had a conversation with him. This was a couple years ago, and first time I talked to him, he talked to me like I'd known him for 20 years.
Hmm. Yeah, he's. It's the same experience, and um, I can't remember which charge it is. I want to think it's maybe like the Royal Lodge charge. It's really lengthy, and he stood up there, and he talked, and he like gave the whole thing. Of course, he could have messed up. Who would have known? But man, he knows everything so well. Like he is such a great guy.
He is, and there's others like him
Hmm.
in Texas, and I'm grateful for them. I don't get as much out of the York Rite as I would like to, but then again, I don't have the time to invest in it as much right now either. So I need to refocus my energies. Next year, I'm going to be more grounded than I have been the last few years as far as traveling and stuff.
Hmm.
You've also
So
been working your butt off though too.
I have, and yeah, it's been taking a toll on me, and I need to slow down just a little bit.
I need to hang out in Goliad again. I hadn't done that in a while.
Well,
Yeah,
you're
you
central. We should all just go to Temple one weekend.
Duh.
We could all party. I mean, hang out and discuss important
as
things.
much as Temple can party. It's not Goliad.
It's
It's not Goliad.
Okay.
it's all in where you go.
It's all in who you're with.
Well, Temple has that really outstanding pub right across the way, and it's pretty cool.
Right across the way. That's
Yeah,
very specific.
O'Brien's.
You know,
Unfortunately, that pub is closed right now. I parked in front of it when I
Oh
went
no,
to
it
Temple back on the 2nd. It said it was gonna. Oh, I guess it was the 5th. It was gonna open back up, but it was closed for some private event. I
yeah,
was
the
so
owner was getting
disappointed.
married.
Well, I guess that is kind of an important event.
I mean, I guess so.
Because I was just in there. We just did a master's degree this past Thursday, and we were just in there after that.
Yeah,
I
it's cool. It's
I
a
would
nice
like
place.
to I'd like to bring up a topic that was brought up to us,
Hmm.
and I think it's very much an important topic right now. It's one that we should cover, and it's one that I know that is near and dear to Brother Park's heart too. He talks about it quite a bit um, when he goes around and talks to people. But the potential question was tonight from one of our inner circle members: how will this elections affect our constituent lodges? How will the Grand Lodge elections affect our constituent lodges? And then, as a follow up to that question, do we need to be sensitive to the fact that some brothers will feel a real sense of loss while others are celebrating? And then finally, so we'll take this up in 3 parts because I think everyone deserves its own time. And finally, how does the good Mason head off discussions that start trending towards partisanship and division? And that is a tough one. Cody, I would like to hear your thoughts on the first question first.
What was the first question again?
Are the stars on?
Not here. They're not. They're black. They're blacked out.
How will the Grand Lodge elections affect our constituent lodges? That's a big.
Wait.
Big
I thought
question.
we were talking about just the general elections that we just had.
Right. The presidential election in particular.
Oh, well, shoot!
Well,
I was thinking Grand Lodge
I heard
because
you say
I know.
Grand Lodge, Dennis.
Well, I did, but if they're, I wasn't the author of these questions, so I may have got it wrong. Well, I added the Grand Lodge in there thinking that that's what they were talking about. So it's my fault.
That's a whole different rabbit hole right there.
Oh, yes, it is.
Well,
yes, it is.
well, the thing is, I think that both can go. They're one and the same to some degree.
Well,
And I'll move into that here in a little bit when we talk about it. Go ahead, Cody.
Okay, so the general election, and especially the presidential election, we know how divisive that was nationwide, and even within families, within a household. So I think we would be naive to believe that there wouldn't be some bleed over into our own lodges, and even I don't know how much it would rear its ugly head at the Grand Lodge level, but knowing how personal that is, I think in our constituent lodges we have a real big, I don't want to call it an opportunity for failure, but maybe that is the right term for it. Those things can get into our lodges, especially if someone's outspoken on either side of the aisle. There are,
and we've all heard those brothers.
Oh, we have, and they make their presence known, don't they? They'll either wear a MAGA hat or a Harris Walls shirt, or they'll do something to show their political alignment, and that in a lodge setting, that invites, to me at least, that invites some division, some argument. It's one of those things that it's so close and personal to us that some discussion can be had with it if the personalities are right. So, for example, Dennis, if you and I are on opposite sides of this issue, we are on opposite sides of the proverbial aisle. You and I can sit down and have an adult talk about it, right? And
Absolutely.
And we can disagree all day long, and it won't get heated. It won't. When our talk is over, we're still brothers. I still hug your neck. We're okay. But we know that there are those among us who are so personally charged with this that I don't know that they can. I honestly don't think that at least some portion of our membership can handle doing that, especially if someone has been so outspoken. The MAGA hats have. I don't think I've seen them in my lodges, but I've seen other guys at other events that I've been to over the last couple of months wearing them. And okay, that's fine that you're making your political statement, but is this the place?
Right. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. What you got, Austin?
You gotta go back to the ancient landmark.
Were you done, Cody? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm done enough. We can circle back to me in a minute.
Yeah, let's toss it and then come back to you.
You got to go back to the ancient landmarks and look at what was specifically said by the founders regarding politics and religion being discussed in the lodge. There's a reason why it wasn't allowed because of all of that. There was even that much discourse going on back then. They talked about it outside, yeah, but once they were in a meeting, they didn't talk about it.
And the way that I understood the question, this wasn't within the confines of the lodge room. This was just talking among brothers, maybe at the the dinner table, or hanging out in a more social setting than a child meeting.
Well, and that also goes back to treating each other with dignity and respect, which is something that has been lost entirely outside of our own little group. We have our problems, yeah, but like you said, Cody, it's been such a divisive issue and emotions are so attached to it that it's gotten really difficult to separate the general discourse from getting passionate and heated and saying something you probably don't mean.
Yeah.
And that's where that maturity comes in.
I think if we could practice rhetoric like we were taught to, at a higher level, then we could probably have conversations without being offended and learn from each other. But it's just like geometry. Like, you can't just go into a lodge and start throwing geometry at these guys. They don't. It's an ideal situation, of course. Yeah, we could voice our opinions in a way that people aren't being offended. But we also have to keep
back to the 90s. Go back to the 90s.
Back to what are you talking about?
There was political discourse in the 90s, but it was much more civil.
Yeah. Well, politics have probably changed a little bit since then.
Yeah.
Like, we're a little more.
Well, back then it was all over sex. I mean, it's easy for men to be civil about sex problems.
But I would say also, like, we're
That was a bad joke.
here in Texas, we're mostly in MAGA country. Like, most of us are pretty rural, and honestly, most rural counties are pretty conservative. And so, I have seen this personally. Like, there are, and let's just be clear here. A brother's politics does not affect his ability to be a good brother. He's a great brother, he's a brother Mason, regardless of what his political affiliation is. And we should love him and respect him, regardless of what his political affiliation is. But I have sat in lodge, not recently, but it's been a while. We have a brother in one lodge. I'm not going to name names or anything, but one of the greatest guys you'll know. Like, he's always there. He's always reliable. He teaches a lot of the work for the district and things like that. He would take the shirt off his back to help you out, but he's also very, very liberal. And but he didn't talk about it. But I've sat in lodges where people were in rural Texas, and everyone just assumes everyone's it might have been Trump running at the time. I don't remember, but like the first time he ran, and people just assume, and they start talking and making comments, and then this brother that means really well keeps himself. He just leaves. And you're putting him in a situation where he's not comfortable. And yeah, we should be able to tolerate other people's opinions and not get offended by it, right? But that's not always the case, and we should take that into consideration. And just because we can have those conversations and we can talk about our political views without getting upset about it, we also shouldn't assume that just because we're comfortable with those conversations, that everybody else is.
Jeff, you got anything before I jump in?
Now, my view on politics is not everything's political. In fact, most things aren't, and certainly not the most important things. So I tend not to get too upset about politics. I read who the candidates are every 2 years. I vote, and then I forget about it. So I remember back in the 80s, I just could not stand Ronald Reagan. I thought he was going to destroy the world and everything. And now, of course, with hindsight, I go, yeah, he's a pretty good dude. It's nothing's ever as bad as it make it to be. Things to be calmer in Texas. Cowboys are any good.
It starts going off the rails for me when you start calling people you don't agree with horrific names.
Well, I don't hear a lot of that as much as I used to around my area, because people know I'm going to call them out on it. And it doesn't matter which side, you're with. It's not okay to ostracize somebody else within our lodge system. It's not okay. And I can't say that I'm, the king of peace either, right? I say enough controversial things to I deserve a good ass whooping every once in a while myself. But the reality is that, and I think a few people have kind of come around to see what I'm talking about. In these small rural towns, it's really naive to think that your political affiliation makes any damn difference at all in what you're doing in your small town. And that's what people need to realize. Goliad is too small to get too deep into political affiliation. Goliad, we need to focus on what we need to. I saw that. We need to focus on what we need to do to support our community. As wealthy as some people are in Goliad, there is twice that of people who are in poverty. And we have to understand that we are in a poor little town. And it's like most of Texas. Everybody has this faith in trickle down economics, and they believe that that's going to save us all, but it's apparently that's not the case, because we're not all saved yet. We've been doing it for umpteen years, and it doesn't matter what political side you're on. That's the reality. We're not saved yet, because that's not necessarily the answer. The answer is us giving a crap about the person who's next to us and actually making an effort to concern ourselves with someone besides ourselves. When we've got a couple of people in town that they struggle pretty roughly, and they walk the streets struggling. And it's not beyond me to stop and give them a few bucks to go get something to eat or whatever. I can't be that person that looks the other way in my little town, because it's right there in my face. In bigger cities, you don't have that right there in your face. We're all in our little communities. We all live in our picket fence world. And I used to live in a gated community of 200 people, and we lived in our own little enclosed worlds in the Republican alley of North Texas, you can say. And life was good, and we never had to look at any of that stuff, so we were harshly judging against it. And the reality is that there's real people with real problems, and we need to be, we need to concern ourselves as human beings with others around us, and not just what suits our own benefit, which is exactly what we do when it comes to politics. It's all about our own benefit. What we think, what we perceive to be our own benefit. We don't even know that it really is our own benefit, because granted, the president is a face, and that's great, but he's not the one that ultimately affects your world in Hillsboro, Texas, or in Richardson, Texas, or in Kansas, or in Goliad, Texas. He's not the one that affects my world. It's my representatives. It's my House of Representatives. It's my senators. It's my congressmen, my local commissioners, county commissioners, judges. Those are the ones that affect my world, not the president. So believing that one side or the other has all the answers is just ridiculous to me. And I'm going to say, I do tend to vote Republican. I do. But like I said, it's for the benefit of myself. Tax benefits, I believe in those. I don't necessarily believe in all the different programs that go along with the other side. But then again, they don't believe in all the programs that go along with our side either. So,
I'll
man,
say
that's
that
tough.
that the founding fathers warned against like a party system, probably for the reason that we're experiencing right now, because it can be so divisive, and the division shouldn't be what color is your party, you red or blue or anything like that. It should be what are the issues, and when you start to hide behind a party, it's easy to kind of hide the issues too, right? So I'm not a huge. I wouldn't say I vote strictly one way or the other. I try to look at the issues and see what makes the most sense.
Right, right. And the reason I voted the way I did this year is strictly because of border security. That's up front and in my face, being down in South Texas. So it's important. It's important to me, and I saw firsthand how, things were just slipped through the cracks prior,
Yeah.
and that's what caused me to vote the way. But otherwise, I don't know, man. It's
Yeah.
so
What's up, Kadeem?
so yeah.
How's it going?
It's absolutely important that that we realize that while on the surface elections may not affect our lodges, on a deeper level they can, for sure.
What about the next part? Do we need to be sensitive to the fact that some brothers will feel like real sense of loss while others are celebrating? We probably kind of touched on it a little bit, but
Yeah, but I agree. We should be.
yeah. Because regardless if you agree with their viewpoints, it's not unusual for people to feel strongly about their person, right? Their party, their nominee, whatever, how you gonna look at it, and I mean, it can last for a long time. So it's
Well, I'm going to tell you though, I was bad. I have to admit, because I'm being a hypocrite. I'm in a good moment right now, and I'm being a hypocrite by doing it. After it was all said and done, I did a post. It wasn't to any Masonic thing. It was one of my very few personal posts. I said, we voted for this. We have always voted for this. Get over it. It is what it is. Let's move on. And because I kept seeing all this gnashing of teeth over, it's the end of the world. And it's like, come on, don't be a drama queen.
yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. We're going to be okay. We're going to be here tomorrow. We're going to be able to work through any issue that comes before us tomorrow. We're going to be here.
At the end of the world, at the end of the day, not the end of the world. At the end of the day, the world didn't end under Trump's first administration, and the world didn't end under Biden's administration. And everyone makes it sound like it's a life or death situation. And it's very interesting to see some of the reactions to Trump getting elected. It's like they forgot that he has already been president before, and he didn't take away any of the things you're afraid he's going to take away. So hell,
we thought the world was going to end under Reagan's administration because he was making some real threats that scared the shit out of all of us.
My economics teacher in high school,
some things worked out. So
he used to.
That's just.
He used to be like, yeah, Reagan was a warmonger, and you remember Ray Gun. That's how you remember he was a warmonger. It's like, okay, whatever. So
I was looking back at my one of my high school yearbooks, and of course, Dennis, you'll be able to relate to this since you're like old as dirt too. We had in there things like, in this one page that were, the price of gas, cost of a McDonald's burger, all these different things that you can look back on. One of those things was, what are your what's your worst global fear or something like that? And it was nuclear war. And to us, that was very real.
That was very real. Yes, you're right. Go ahead. I wasn't trying to interrupt. Oh
Who?
shit!
Is that it?
There you are.
Oh, there you go.
Are, are you back?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
You
You
talk.
said
Oh,
it was
that's
very.
all.
I said yeah, and then you stopped, and it's like, oh
Oh
man.
no, that was the point I was going to make. Is it
Oh
that was the real thing of our day? Uh,
yes.
and I don't know how much you watch YouTube videos and uh, just random stuff, but I've been seeing a lot of the we're all going to be slaves. Uh, the world is going to come to an end. All this stuff that, just like you were saying, none of that stuff came to pass back in our day either, and in every generation since, that stuff has not happened. We had the AIDS epidemic that was just coming
Yes.
in the 80s, so that was another one of those things. We all thought that we were going to get it from a dirty toilet seat. And
Yes.
Oh,
no,
I remember that. Yeah, all the fear from that.
yep,
Yeah.
that's all I
Dude,
was going to
I
add.
had real anxiety from AIDS and nuclear war. I had real anxiety. I had anxiety attacks
Hmm.
over those thoughts when I was a kid. It's and you're right. You know,
I had plenty of liquid medication back in my
I
high school
think
days that
yeah,
kept
yeah.
those panic attacks at bay.
You got I gotta say yes. The breathing problems could have been from coughing too much, but
I'll add to that also. Going back to what we were talking about, like the different who's quote unquote in power or whatever. My portfolio was up under Trump, and talking about my investments, and they're up now under Biden. So this idea now you could say, depending on who's in party, are they up as much as they could be? There are certain things that might have kept it from reaching its full potential. Very possibly, but it's up. So you have these people worrying about their retirements and everything. Every time their person doesn't win, it, if you're invested wisely, you're still going to go up. And so this side, like, everything moves forward, regardless of really, because 4 years may seem like a lot, or even 8 years if they get reelected, but in the big scheme of things, it's not a huge amount of time. And we do still have this beautiful thing called a constitution that really keeps things from going just out in left field. And so it's sure. I mean, it's normal to see people celebrate. It's normal to see people upset if the person didn't win. But at the end of the day, man, it's there's a whole lot of checks and balances that are in place to keep your biggest fears from happening.
you know the reality, and this really just kind of came to me, is just like with anything else. When we were kids, we weren't educated on all the factors that were in play. All we saw was what the media put out there, and so we had these huge assumptions of what could possibly happen, and plus there was that factor of the unknown. But as an adult, because I am more educated now, the things that happen within the world, I take in stride. I don't panic thinking it's the end of the world. I don't panic when Trump says he's going to be stern with Russia or whatever. I don't panic. Nobody wants the end of the world. You can't rule the world if there's nobody left alive. So, but these things only happened after educating myself. And I think that the reality is, like anything else, even with politics, it all boils down to education. When we have brothers that only see one side of a subject and aren't willing to see another side, that's when the panic sets in.
Well,
And it doesn't matter which side. And that's on any given topic.
you also have to keep in mind your generation, the Xers, my generation, the millennials. We saw a lot, bad. Like you're saying, y'all lived under fear, and I did very briefly under fear of nuclear war,
Oh, you saw a
AIDS,
stained dress.
COVID, 9/11. Like if you think of all the things that we have witnessed in our lifetimes, right? And so, just as an example, like last week they had a hearing. Congress had a hearing, and they're basically like, "Yeah, UFOs are real. Aliens are real. They're here on Earth." And everyone's like, "Yeah, well, I still go to work tomorrow, so yeah, woo, woo." I watched. What was that show that used to come on? There used to be all these like documentaries about UFOs in the 90s and stuff. Yeah, man, I watched all that growing up. Okay, whatever. Like you're not gonna, unless honestly, you could bring a live alien out in front of camera, and I'd be like, okay, well that's I guess that's reality now. Whatever. Yeah, most people.
I hope they don't. My thought is, I hope they don't piss him off. That's my thought, because that's a real fear, is that we have some idiot that's our personal representative that pisses off an alien race, because they're smart enough to get here. We're not smart enough to get there. So that's my only fear. However, if it was me, I would say, man, take me. I want to see your place. I want to see where you live.
But the first thing they'd ask them if they brought an alien up right now, they'd be like, "Did you vote for Biden or Trump or Kamala or Trump? Who'd you vote for? Let's see how advanced you really are."
Right. But I do think that it all boils down to education. And granted, there's not always a preface for what we're dealing with, and so I get that, like the aliens or whatever. I mean, there is a preface there, but like back in the 80s with the AIDS and the nuclear war, I mean, that was all brand new. Mm-hmm. Technology wasn't what it is today. We had just come out of the, I don't even know what to say we came out of. I mean, we had just come out of the pen and paper era, the cursive writing era, and moved into this started moving into this technological era. So, and it has advanced so far over the last 50 years that, we're able to educate ourselves better. But all back then, it was all brand new.
There's way more information than there was.
It's going to take AI trying to take over the world for it to really scare me again. That'll be the next thing that scares me.
Yeah.
That's my own. In fact, that is a fear that I have right now, is the fact that we're relying too much on AI as it is, because that is so unknown, and it's to a degree uncontrollable. That's my fear now.
Well, AI has checks in it to keep it from like going crazy, but you're right. Like
until it does.
Until it doesn't. It works until it doesn't. And that's actually a conversation that I've had with like teacher friends and stuff, because you can go right now, and I'm just telling you, go like ChatGPT and be like, "Hey, write me a lesson plan for this," and there it is, right? And so the question is, how long until we're not really relevant? And that applies to so many other jobs. And you can even say, well, look at like blue collar jobs where you have to physically go in and work something. Well, they just came out with these really fantastic robots, and they're only like $20,000. So a company could say, look, we're going to take these robots that use AI and just buy like 100 of them, because that's what there's a certain upfront investment, but it pays for itself after a while.
We already have a brother that's what he specializes. He's
AI.
He's that. Yeah, he has these robot dogs that that basically go through these plants, and they can check pressures and do all the testing that's needed around the plant. Dude, they can even walk up the stairs, and the ones that you see on TV is basically what it is. They're just developed specifically for doing somebody's job that's hazardous.
Now, if it becomes like Star Trek or something, like I don't know if you ever watched Star Trek. I didn't watch a whole lot of it, but I know enough that. Did you watch it? So that they have like this utopian society, and everything's taken care of. So that's why they're exploring, because that's really, you could just pursue your own interest and do whatever. That'd be fine. I'd be fine with that. Like if we want to explore, or like, hey, you got all day. Learn how to paint or play music. Learn how to play the piano or the guitar. Or go to the lodge and do Masonic stuff, right? I wouldn't be opposed to that as long as it's like dedicated towards enrichment or something like that. But I don't think that would work. I don't think a society like that would work because people would get restless and bored.
I'd have to be a Captain Kirk. I know I'm limited. I wouldn't be able to be Spock, and I wouldn't be able to be the guy in the engine room. What's his name? What's his name, Cody? You know,
Scotty, man.
Scotty. Yes,
Scotty, the
Yes.
Scot.
That's right. I wouldn't be that smart. I'd have to be Captain Kirk. All balls and no brains.
All you have to do is say something like, "I'm giving her all she's got, Captain. Can't give her no more." That's all his job was. And the doc, all he says is, "Damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a mechanic." So you can do that.
Yes. Oh, that's
But yeah,
cool.
there would be a point where it advanced enough and technology advanced enough where you kind of have to ask, like, where do we really fall in now? Like where do we really fit in? So you're
Well,
right. It is
what's
concerning, but it's interesting also.
what's cool is that we're already dealing with that to some degree, right? We have young men joining Freemasonry for that very
Mhm.
and once we realize that and embrace that, then we will be a better fraternal society for them. We'll be a better fraternity for them, basically, because we will. Once we realize that and embrace it, then we can educate ourselves on how to take care of that. And hopefully that's what this show does, is it inspires people to educate themselves to be able to embrace the brothers coming in that are actually kind of feeling that way already. They grew up on the computer. They didn't grow up in church. A lot of them anyways. I know that's different in many parts of this country, especially down here in the lower Bible Belt. But there's definitely young men out there and just men out there that are kind of wondering where they fit in this world. I thought I knew where I fit in this world until I joined the lodge. And in a way, I know that was my journey too, is I didn't quite know how to level up. I didn't know how to do it. And I wanted to, but I was stuck. And so that's when I decided to finally join the lodge after contemplating it for years and years.
Let's look at the. Hey Alexa.
That's what I was trying to do, is get us back to good cue, Justin.
Yeah, let's go back to that last point. So
You're reading me loud and clear, Justin.
So how does the good Mason head off discussions to start training towards partisanship and division? Look up ChatGPT for a good prompt, and then.
My gosh.
No, I would say, me personally, I would just respectfully, like I would always leave with that, like, hey, brother, respectfully, there's not everybody that seems the same, that has the same worldview. Let's be respectful of one another and just not talk about it right now, or something. It depends on who it is and how well I know them, right? But I would just like respectfully, like, hey, let's steer the conversation somewhere else, because I don't. No good. Here's the thing, no good could come from a conversation like that in a lodge. You're not gonna have somebody change their you're not gonna have somebody change their political viewpoint from you just prattling on at lodge. And likewise, if you're going to go to a religious, you're not going to change someone's religious viewpoint. And really, honestly, why should you? Why should you try to change someone's political viewpoint or change their religious viewpoint? It's not your life. It's not your business. So why even bring it up?
I had mentioned Park earlier today, and there's something that he said on one of our shows one time that that really resonated with me. That he has sat in lodge with brothers for years and years, thinking that he thought he knew them.
Mhm.
He thought he knew them well, which he does know them well. He Don't get me wrong. He And then come to find out that they're different political beliefs. They have different political beliefs.
Mhm.
But because of that, he was able to step back and say, "Hey, you know what? Maybe this other side is not as far off from what I believe to begin with." And vice versa. That I think that ultimately so Kadeem just booked it. What happened? Was it a code blue or what?
Who knows? He's probably working.
I know, that's what I was saying. But, the reality is that if we're really taking this thing seriously and we're establishing these relationships that are more than just face value relationships, it's like Cody said earlier, he and I can talk about anything. And I don't care what it is, I'm going to hug him afterwards because I love and respect him. And if we are establishing those relationships with our brothers and not just the superficial ones that are easy, then it's going to change us. And hopefully for the better. Hopefully we're evolving into a better society by doing that. And I think that was one of the goals in having this thing called Freemason.
As long as you're talking about Park, something else he said I think is relatable to this, and that it was we should always assume that a brother's coming from a good place. He's coming from the best place, and even if he has a different political view than you, say he doesn't think we should have firearms, just throwing that out there. That doesn't mean he wants to take your firearms away so much as he believes that we would all be a safer country without them, right? Or I don't know, just insert any big. So like you're talking about.
I have firearms, but I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not going to carry them.
Yeah,
I have them.
Just because someone has a different political view than you, doesn't mean that they have that view in opposition of you. You have your views because you believe it's what is best for your family and for your country. And believe it or not, they have their views for the same reason. They believe it's what is best for their family and their country. And I'm not saying only those things. They may also feel like it's better worldwide to have those views or whatever. But they're believing what they believe because they think it's right. And you believe what you believe because you think it's right. And if I've learned anything from this podcast and growing, because Dennis and I, you and I have both had Masonic views that we believed were right. And anyone that did not share those views was wrong. And we have grown. And some of the things that we thought were wrong, well, maybe they weren't as wrong as we thought. But you also have to keep in mind that people that have certain views about Freemasonry have those views because they believe it is what is best for their lodge and best for them and best for the fraternity as a whole. And now you could steer around like, well, is it the best or not? But you can do that politically too. But you have to understand where they're coming from is they believe that because they think it's best. We're talking about Masonically. But it's the same thing applies to politically. And we should be open-minded enough to hear other people's thoughts. And it goes both ways. We've said this before. I don't remember what the quote it comes from, but it's a sign of intelligence to be able to hear an opinion without being offended by it. And consider it without feeling like it threatens our worldview. And overall, that's what we need to be able to do.
Well, and we're also charged with it's our duty to help in our brother's reformation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if he falls, here I'm going to fix something real quick. It's bugging the heck out of me, or maybe it didn't fix it.
Your background screen, it keeps giving you a mullet and then taking it away. There's a mullet.
I do have a mullet.
Jeff, I wish you hadn't pointed that out. I don't want that to go away.
I
he
do
almost
have
looks like
one.
Joe Dirt.
There you go. There you go. I've been thinking about shaving the sides. Business in the front, party in the back. So, where was I? I get sidetracked so easily.
I don't know. I was thinking about
Dang
Dennis.
it.
I was thinking about Dennis
Well,
and Bandit at the Grand Canyon as a kid. So
I had a
wasn't
good
thinking-
Well, Dennis, I can help you get back on track with this.
Thank you.
You don't have to look very far back within the Grand Lodge of Texas. Relatively recently, we saw a big, maybe not a big split, but what could have turned into one between we allowed there to be created a rift, a divide within the 50 whatever thousand members that we have. So, that's so close to us, and we allowed that to happen. How about something that's at least for most of us is a couple of levels out of that, a couple of circles
Yes.
away from Freemasonry. And we're allowing that too, even within our lodges. So yeah, you were talking about whispering good counsel.
Yes, aiding in reformation. Yes, and so it's and I don't always whisper, as you all know, and
This is new information.
I will call somebody out if they're being ugly. I will. If they're being ugly and I think they're hurting people around them, I'll call them out right then and there, and make sure it stops. And if it doesn't stop, then that's a different discussion. But usually it stops, and that's like I said earlier. Usually I don't hear those kind of slurs and stuff like I used to hear, and those different, harsh opinions and things like that, like I used to hear, because they know that I'm not okay with hearing that kind of stuff. And not that I don't believe in some of the stuff, but I'm not going to allow that to ruin my brother's Freemasonry who might not believe in that. And so at some point we have to be willing to stand up to the downright ugly parts that we need to get rid of, and not just let it happen, because Cody hit it on the head. We let happen what happened. And granted, it wasn't over just a couple of years. It was over an accumulation of about 50 years that a lot of this stuff has been happening. But we let it happen, whether it was from, just focusing on our particular lodge and not thinking about the big picture, or if it was, just thinking that that's the way it should be done, that you just kiss the ring or whatever. I don't know, but we let that happen. And hopefully we're right sizing now. Hopefully we've made a shift, and hopefully it sticks. And I don't really wish ill will towards anyone that was in that other system, because that's how they grew in Freemasonry. That's how they learned their Freemasonry, right? So,
They weren't trying to hurt the fraternity.
Yes, none of those brothers necessarily were trying to hurt the fraternity. They were trying to do what they thought were right. Now, in the ways that they went about it, some of them was just absolutely not okay at all. I don't want to give that that impression. Yes, I'm sorry. I just lost my thought. I had an old fashioned before we started this. Or not an old fashioned. I had a scotch while Brian drank an old fashioned while we were talking on his show. Mm-hmm. And I usually don't do that before we talk. But there were a few people that did some stuff that's just really not okay. But now that we have corrected that, hopefully they have learned from that, and they can move forward in a positive way and not revert back to the old ways that they learned in dealing with those things, right? So hopefully we can move forward, because I never disliked them as human beings. I just disliked what they were doing. And I think that a lot of that was a product of of their making.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, I can see that.
Just like me being a product of my make. Remember last week when we talked to Greg,
Greg, yeah.
and he said, "Oh, so much makes so much more sense now." When I told him about my past,
Mm-hmm.
he said, "Oh, it all makes a lot more sense now." And that's right. I mean, that's the reality. I don't fear a whole lot because of that.
Yeah, that's fair. I can see that. Very cool.
But yeah, I think that those are excellent questions.
Jeff, did you have any thoughts you wanted to add?
Texas Masonry?
Do what?
No. My thoughts on Texas Masonry?
No, just overall
Oh.
in general what we talked about. I assume you wouldn't have a whole lot of thoughts on Texas Freemasonry. Or maybe you do.
Not
You're like,
really.
those guys are
Well-
crazy down there.
There's a lot of people that did.
It was interesting to watch. I know that. I was watching the whole drama unfold, handing out the Masonic charges at Grand Lodge. And it was something else.
Mhm.
Kansas is real good. Kansas is about 5 years ago, all the Grand Officer lines got together and put like a 10-year strategy plan in place. And they all agreed to keep advancing that plan year to year. So, and it's all good.
Yeah.
Everyone's in support of it.
No,
And so
that's
you
very
don't get
wise.
these wild changes every year, and everything's advancing the way it should be.
How many years does your grand officer serve in their position?
I think just one.
Just one. Yeah. The ability to have a group of guys at a state level that only serve 1 year come together and kind of swallow their ego a little bit and agree on a plan like that is a pretty big deal. I mean, that's really good. I mentioned before that we need to be able to do that here in Texas. We need to actually say, hey, look, we need a big picture. We need an overall plan, and we all need to agree on it.
I think that's the goal. I think that's the goal, and I think the trustees are more aligned together now than they have been many years.
Yeah, you could probably pull that off now for maybe not for 10 years, but maybe like a 5-year
think-
plan.
Well, if we keep voting well, then I think we will, because we'll look for people that can do that,
Yeah,
and
that's a
not
good point.
people that have their own agenda saying, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this when I get in. You know, it's a more of, you know, I hope to be a good part of the team and support what we're in progress with, and then add some good suggestions.
Well, that really adds a good talking point if we have a plan in Grand Lodge shares that plan. Like, here's the 10-year plan. This is the direction we met and we agreed that this is where we would like the direction of Freemasonry to go. And then when you have your officer, we just posted it a few weeks ago, like the forums, that can inform your questions better. Like, hey, based off the plan, where do you fit in on here? What do you think about the plan? And if they can't give an answer, or if there is no plan that aligns with that, that should be a big red flag. Like, hey, this guy doesn't either see value in the plan, or he has not thought about it, or he was made aware of this question in advance and he still can't give an answer.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. I am more interested in how they play well with others. You see it, you know, the people that are running right now, that have made themselves available, I know each one of them, and I think a lot of each one of them. I do. Do I think that each one of them is the right person for the job right now? No. I clearly have my own view. However, I think that each one of them cares about our fraternity.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't think that any of them are the plotting type, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think that no matter what happens, like I said, I have my clear view. But I think no matter what happens, Texas Masonry is going to be okay. And I think they'll be in support of the trustees.
Mhm.
Now, there are people that are planning on doing things at Grand Lodge that I don't think that's their goal, is to go in and be a team player. I don't think that's the reason why they're trying to get into the positions that they're getting into.
Yeah.
So we need to be mindful of that. We need to, just like regular elections, we need to educate ourselves on who is making themselves available.
Well, if you think things should be done a certain way and you have to go, what's the word I want to use? If you have to use elements of surprise or manipulate rules and things like that to push things in your favor, then you're not doing the right thing. It's not as good a thing as you think it is. I'll put it that way. Now, because here's the thing,
I built my whole strategy on pushing the envelope. What are you talking about?
Well, pushing the envelope is different. Pushing the envelope is different. I'm saying using like stalling strategies, lack of information. Let's be honest, taking advantage of the ability to like weaponize charges and things like that. If you have to do that to quiet the people that don't agree with you, then you need to reevaluate. And you may be doing that because you think your idea is what's best for the fraternity, but you may need to reevaluate at that point. Because if the majority, regardless of how you feel, and this applies at lodge level too, regardless of how you feel, if the majority of the brothers there don't share your viewpoint, then it is wrong of you to force it. Now, can you educate people and try to because they may just not know, right? But it's wrong of you to try to force your views, because all you're going to do is alienate everybody. Conversations, education, that's the way you do it. But trying to, like, if I'm at a lodge and I'm trying to push something that I know that guy's not going to be there that month, or I know several of those guys aren't going to be there that month, and I can get something voted on I want voted on, then you're not doing it the right way. You're not doing things right, because these may be great guys. Otherwise, you just have a different viewpoint. Now they're going to get angry, maybe not come back.
Yeah, the thing is that if democracy wins, then we all win.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, then if we try to circumvent that process, then we all lose, because somebody's going to be unhappy either way, and people are going to leave. They're going to walk.
That's a good point.
An interesting thing that you bring up, doing things behind the scenes or whatever, that not letting people be aware. Did you know that Florida has placed a gag order on its members about certain issues relating to real estate, that they're wondering, how is it that we're selling this stuff that when we voted not to, and how is it that people are profiting in such astronomical ways, through this?
Mm-hmm.
We're
It reminds
talking
me of a few years ago.
big money. We're talking Trump money.
Wow.
Yeah.
But when you say gag order, it reminds me of a few years ago when there was an order that we shouldn't talk about certain things. There was a letter sent out.
Oh, yeah.
And then when
It's the same thing.
And then when the
It's the same
secretary
thing.
tried to read it, the district deputy at the time was like, no, we're not actually going to read that. It's not going to go in the minutes or anything like that. It's like, oh, well, it's a Grand Lodge communication, but okay. So, yeah.
My district deputy grandmaster did not say that. He wanted it.
So, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's interesting.
But yeah, that's a real thing. So you think we had something big going on? Well, we did, and we still have to, keep pushing forward for the betterment of our fraternity.
Mm-hmm.
But we all need to keep Florida in our prayers, because they're struggling with a big issue right now, and it's not looking good for a few choice members.
Sounds like Florida needs a 2024 Grand Lodge.
Yeah, they do, and they need brothers to realize that they are the best.
Yeah,
they are the Grand Lodge, and I think that they're starting to realize that, thanks to the old fashioned Masonic podcast.
Are
You
they in
can go
Florida?
on. No, he's not.
Hmm.
That's the beauty of him, because he's outside of these crazy jurisdictions. He can talk about this stuff and not get in trouble. But he talked about it recently, and he had mentioned it recently. There's not a lot that can be said online, though, because you could cross some boundaries. But I would encourage our listeners to go on and listen, because it's a good listen.
He's in a very sane jurisdiction.
Oh, is he? Is he Kansas?
He's Kansas. Yes.
A little bias there. No, I would say, just to add on that, a lot of these people that try to use these tactics like you're describing don't understand that, because you said before you came along, everything will still paperwork and in cursive and all that. They're still living in that world, and they don't understand that they don't know what social media is or how it works, or even the internet in some cases, and they don't realize if they do something that is unethical or sketchy, and then they say don't talk about it, it's going to get talked about, and it's going to get leaked, and it's going to be all over the internet, and we experienced it here in Texas, and it sounds like Florida's dealing with it now. But these brothers and their brothers need to understand that we have to be on the up and up with each other, and we always should have been. But now we're being held accountable, because you cannot be a dictator regardless of your position, because the internet keeps you honest. It keeps everything honest, and you get fact checked and you get questioned regardless of what you say that you do or do not want people to talk about.
Well, and that's the thing, is that a lot of the information in today's world is public information.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this stuff that's going on has to do with real estate, and every bit of that is public information.
Mm-hmm.
And so now the brothers down there and you got to realize the majority of our membership is still at that age that didn't grow up with computers. So a lot of the brothers didn't really know how to support the things that they were thinking through basic research on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So now they know how, and they found the stuff that's causing it. So they should be able to deal with it. So we ought to keep them there.
Social media is modern journalism, because
it
it's
wasn't
unbiased.
social media. It was
Register of Deeds online.
It was what?
It was a Register of Deeds
Oh
online.
yeah, no. But I'm just, yeah, I get what you're saying, but also I'm saying, like, I'm sorry, I was thinking, like, if a Grand Lodge sent a letter out, for example, and said, like, hey, don't talk about this, then that ends up, sorry, my mind was elsewhere where you're talking about that, but
for me, you say don't talk about this, and I immediately go online and start researching, and seeing, what am I not talking about?
Well, as soon as something like comes out, that gets shared, like, well, I can't talk about it in Florida, but if I send this letter to a podcaster or post it online anonymously, nobody knows where it came from, and now everybody's getting fact checked. Yeah, I'd be curious too. I don't know either, so I'd be curious about that.
Yeah, I'll send that to you. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. And what's interesting is that we're just now starting to feel the effects of technology.
Mm-hmm.
Though it's been around since the 90s, because of the secrets that everybody think the Masons hold, because of the secretive nature of our ritual. Brothers utilize that to keep other things secret. It's just like back in the day, that generation, as a kid, you say, hey, what's that square and compass? I'm not allowed to talk about it. What's that thing on your wall? I'm not allowed to talk about it. Well, how do you become a Mason? Oh, okay, I can talk about that. but they couldn't answer certain things in their mind, but they could tell you how to become a Mason. Well, it's the same thing with this stuff now. The things that have happened over the years that we don't know about, who knows to what degree or how long stuff like that happened, right?
Yeah.
And who knows, I mean, there's some pretty bad stuff that I know about the past, from all the way back to the 80s and the 70s, with a few choice people. And that would have been, if we were still in yesteryear's technology, that kind of stuff would not be available today.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's some bad stuff.
Not that I go digging on people, but I learned about it through other people, really. But it was kept quiet through that mentality that Masons had for so long.
Yeah.
Keep talking, Justin. I'm going to type.
Oh no, I don't have anything else. I was going to actually call for a wrap up.
Are you kidding me?
It's been an hour.
Dude, you're getting lazy
I
in
am
your
prompt.
older age.
I'm prompt. But
you're lazy.
Okay.
There's a difference.
So does anyone have any final thoughts they'd like to share about what we talked about tonight? It could be anything at all.
Well, then I'm not going to be texting. I've got lots of thoughts.
Hey, I joined the shrine last week.
Look at you.
Oh, congratulations.
I got my fez. Yep. Got my little band logo across it because I play in the band.
Did they do the degrees there?
Wow, that was quick.
Well, they do the initiation. There's an initiation.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about it, or like how many there are or anything.
Is it the ceremonial to where they stand in costume and just say some stuff, and then, or is there an actual initiation?
No, they have the costumes on it. They didn't have when I was there.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty much just taking the oath. And
yeah, so it is. Yeah, it's considered the cold sands initiation.
Right. Yeah, as opposed to the way they used to do it. That's right. And I petitioned, see, I've only been a Master Mason for a month now, so I joined the shrine. I petitioned 2 affinity lodges. So, in Kansas has affinity lodges. I think Texas does.
Man.
One for bagpipes and one for law enforcement. You look forward to that.
That's cool.
Well,
Nice.
yeah, I'm getting active. I got put on the line for next year as a senior steward. So, really jumping into this feet first.
I would
Very
like to see
nice.
those affinity lodges here, but I know we're not at that
Yeah,
point yet.
once you get involved with your affinity lodges, maybe one day we ought to have a talk about how they work up there. I mean, that's kind of cool. I like the idea of them, but I don't know exactly how they would work in reality. I've seen it over in England and stuff like that, but that's not very close for me to go and visit and see how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, they generally meet like 4 times a year, and they're big on education pertaining to the topic of the affinity lodge in a Masonic context.
Nice.
All right, cool. Back at you.
I'll message you here in a little bit, Cody.
Yeah. Well, we can hang out. We can hang out for a bit after we finish if y'all want.
Yeah, if you want to hang tight, once we do the wrap up, then we'll.
Yeah. I'll just say, like, we had some brothers come in and pop out kind of unceremoniously, and I don't know. That happens all the time. It happens all the time. Let's just be clear. Like, people pop in and pop out all the time, and I don't know if any of that was associated with what we talked about tonight. I hope not. But I will say that I know that when you start talking about politics, it's uncomfortable. It can be. I wasn't uncomfortable. I don't think Dennis was, but it can be uncomfortable. But it goes back to like we have to be, first of all, able to hear other people's thoughts, and it doesn't have to be political or even religious. It could be anything. Like, we talk about a lot of stuff on the show, but you have to be able to hear people's thoughts and listen to them, and try to shut off the bias in your head and just listen, and don't feel as though what they are saying is challenging your worldview, right? I should be able to hear what someone else thinks about something without feeling like if I don't shut it down, it's going to become part of my mentality. Because that's not the way it should go. Hear it, listen to it, take some time to process it, and if you agree with it, great. And if you still don't agree with it, that's fine too. You learned a little bit about somebody else. You came to understand where they're coming from, and it doesn't change. It doesn't have to change you, right? So it's important to be able to have conversations. I would say, and I do. Dennis didn't really agree with this, or he didn't used to. I don't know if he changed his mind on this. I'm not huge. I'll be honest. I don't like talking about politics or religion at Lodge, and here's why. Because I can't, especially this time of year, I can't turn on anything without hearing something political. And I grew up in a very, very Southern Baptist household, and I have family members that are still extremely preachy. Like anytime they get an opportunity, and I don't enjoy those conversations. So I don't want to have to I don't want to get preached at, and I don't want to get politicized at my lodge. I want to be able to go and enjoy having conversation with my brothers. Now, if someone brings up either party, am I going to be offended? No. But if they start, like you said, Dennis, if they start insulting people, or if they start making people uncomfortable, that's not cool. That's not cool. And just because I can sit and listen to that doesn't mean that I should assume everyone should be at the same level or feel the same way as I do. And so we need to ask other brothers to be respectful. Like be respectful of those people that may not share your worldview. And it could be the same worldview as mine, but still be respectful of those people that don't necessarily share your worldview. What's up, DD?
How's it going?
Good. We're doing our wrap up. You got any fun?
Oh, nice. Yep. Just, it's hard driving in the rain. That's all I got. So,
driving in the rain and talking. That's
finally, after this huge drought. Yes.
Yeah.
Finally.
Are you getting it rain down there too?
I just heard some.
Oh, wow.
And it just went away.
Yeah. We're about to get some more here where I live. But, to that point anyway, not to beat that dead horse too much, but, again, I appreciate all of y'all. All of you. Inner Circle, Dennis, even the ones that don't hop on the show, I appreciate all of you. And I hope you can see the value of our conversation without feeling like it's being directed at anybody, because it's not. It's just a general suggestion. And I think there's value in having that talk. Other than that, consider joining the Inner Circle if you're not on Inner Circle. If you're watching this, if you're this far in the video, you obviously have got some value out of it, right? You've listened to us for a little bit over an hour. And by the time Dennis finishes, it'll be like 3 hours in. So you obviously find value in the show. So consider joining the Inner Circle. We appreciate that. But I'll leave it. I'll hand it over to Dennis because I know he's got some stuff to talk about.
Yeah, it's just like that movie back in the day, The Breakfast Club. Are you finished yet? Not even close, bud. So that's me. So I do disagree with Justin on that, on the politics and religion in Lodge, because I think that's exactly where we should be able. And the reason why is because I believe in the ideal of brothers who believe in each other's best intentions. Right? I believe in that. I believe in that core value of Freemasonry, where back in the day, they hid in the lodges to talk about these things because it was unsafe in the real world. So I believe in it. I think that right, wrong, or indifferent, we should be able to have those conversations within our lodge. And do we want it to consume our lodge meetings? No. Do we want our education to become political or religious in nature? No, I don't want anybody to try and, convert me to to Catholicism in my lodge. Wouldn't want that. However, man, should we be talking about theology? Absolutely. Should we be talking about the connections that our degrees have with religion? Absolutely. And then we should take it further back to the religions of the ancient ancestors and not just the present day religion that we choose to believe today. So I think that the journey that we are on is not intended to be a journey of green beans and minutes. It's not. And how are we going to become better if we're not willing to listen to somebody else's opinion? And they're all just opinions. I had a brother one time say, well, I don't like these education things because they're just your opinion. Unless, you have all this. I said, dude, that's what philosophy is. It's just a bunch of opinions. Now, a lot of it's mostly educated opinion. I did read a bunch to come to the conclusions I came to. Is everything spot on? Maybe, maybe not. That's up to you to decide.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be spot on to what this guy believes, and it's not going to be spot on to what this guy believes, because I have my own intellect, and I'm going to compare that information to.
These are all opinions. They're all opinions.
Absolutely, every bit of it. And every theory is an opinion until you can scientifically prove it. And not everything can be scientifically proven. That's called magic. It's called magic. And it's either and then eventually magic either gets proven into science or it becomes a religion. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's believing in the unknown. That's magic.
It either becomes science or faith.
Yes, That's exactly right. You have to believe that guy is actually chopping that lady in half and not pulling one over on you. It takes a certain amount of faith to watch a magician. It really does. So, anyways, that's why I think we should be able to talk about it, because we should have the respect for each other and the love for each other to care about each other's opinions. Mm-hmm. I do care about my brothers, and even some of the brothers that people are extremely pissed off at right now. I'm not all that pissed off at them. I'm disappointed, sure.
Yeah.
But do I think that they're a lost cause? No, I don't. Not if they want to. Not if they want to be brothers, and if they want to do what's best for Masonry, and if that's the case, then man, let's talk it out. Let's hash it out. Let's take that leap. Let's take that leap of faith that we can discuss a topic without coming to blows. Let's take that leap of faith. Or discuss a topic without, leaving the lodge and never coming back. Let's have that leap of faith. The reality is that Freemasonry was founded on freedom of thought, freedom of speech, freedom of religion. And when you remove those things from your lodge, are you really doing Freemasonry? That's my question to you, because I think that's our safe place to talk about these things. It should be, anyways. And that's why I believe what I believe. I really enjoyed the topics tonight, the questions, the ideas specifically on our external religion affecting our internal lodges, because we are in a position today where the reality is that we have allowed the external to affect our internal. You know, if it's all about the internal, like some people say, then why are we letting those guys affect us to the point that we're affecting our lodge just as negatively? That's a bold statement, huh?
Yeah, it's deep.
Now here's another question. You know, if we had some rules on what we're supposed to wear, what's appropriate and not appropriate to lodge, then we might not have those kind of things, people showing up in those kind of shirts and those kind of hats. You know, if everybody was in a dark suit,
Yeah.
perhaps they wouldn't be dressing in t-shirts and baseball caps. Silly me. Maybe that's one of the reasons that rule was instituted years and years and years ago.
Because those mega hats back in the 1800s.
Mega. It's mega.
You can't wear that red tricorn in here. Get that out of here. It was for George Washington. They're WAGA hats.
Yes.
Get that WAGA hat out of here.
Yes. So, you know, there was a lot discussed tonight. Remember to pray for Florida. Those guys, those brothers need your prayers.
Uh-huh.
I hope the brothers that have done the things they've done just ask forgiveness. Otherwise, we'll lose a few Masons over this one, I think. And hopefully it
Over what?
just
What are you
comes
talking
to
about? Lose a few Masons over what?
what's happening in Florida right now.
Oh, yeah.
And
Well,
you know, hopefully it doesn't go into the secular media and well, shit, now we've talked about it, so it might. Hopefully it doesn't and doesn't affect them negatively.
well, we've seen the data, what it did here. Just saying.
Oh yeah.
Saying we need to get
Oh,
him
yeah.
back on too.
And that's one of the things, is that the things that happen at Grand Lodge definitely affect the local lodge level.
Mhm.
You know, we think that we're so independent from this Grand Lodge thing. We, you know, as Texans, we believe in our freedom. It's the United States of Texas, by the way. We think that we're all that, and you know, we're the cornerstone of freedom in this world. And we don't like anybody telling us what to do in our lodges. But the reality is that was proof that we are a part of Grand Lodge. We are Grand Lodge.
Mhm.
And it will make a difference. Top down, trickle down may not work in economics so well, but it's damn sure going to work in negative effects.
Can I just add something to that thought real quick? I
Yeah,
know you're
go ahead.
doing closing thoughts. It goes back
ahead.
to the old as above, so below, right? You said Grand Lodge affects lodges, of course. But the things we do in our lodges affect Grand Lodge. Those people that cause discord and disharmony at the Grand Lodge level passed
We
through a
made
lodge
'em.
at one point.
We made them. Yep. Just like I was talking about earlier in elections. We voted for these people.
Mhm.
No matter what happens, we voted for them. So, you know, it's all on us. Gnashing of teeth is not the way to subject yourself to the rest of the world.
Absolutely not.
It's unbecoming of a good Mason. But beyond that, I think that it has been a really good discussion, and I think that when we stop thinking about what's in it for me, which we need to have that discussion at some point soon too. What's in it for me is important because that's what creates value within our lodges.
Yeah.
But when do we stop thinking about what's in it for me and what's in it for my brother, and shift it to what's in it for my brother? So,
because ultimately that's why we join, isn't it? What's in it for us?
Right. However, at some point, it should shift into what's in it. What can we do for our brother
when we grow?
And when we do that, we're feeding ourselves, but we're also feeding our brother, and we're helping ourselves as a whole by doing that.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to talk about that and kind of explore that journey, because I think that's what it is. So that'd be interesting.
Yeah, cool. And I think it's cyclical, just like a lot of the other things that we talked about. It continues to go around and around, because you feed yourself as you feed others, and vice versa.
Love it.
Other than that, the menu is set. The contract is on my desk.
It's not very reassuring when you look around like that.
Well, no.
I got a contract somewhere.
That was just for dramatization.
Oh, okay.
Actually, it's in my inbox. I need to sign it and send it back. But that goes with a little deposit, and I'm expected to buy a new vacuum cleaner for my wife this week. So, but I'll have to do it. I'll have to do it anyway. So that will be done tomorrow. The menu will include, just so that brothers know what I'm talking about, this is for the Masonic Improvement Dinner at Grand Lodge at Diamondback's Restaurant. Seating is limited. The menu will be, I think it's like right around $116 or something like that, but that includes taxes, and it includes gratuity, the 20% gratuity. So that's the bill except for your drinks. And so that's pretty fair in my opinion. Oh, yeah. Because I think over the years, I think they started at around, well,
it's about what it's always been.
Yeah, dinners have been $85 from time immemorial for me. And then plus the gratuity and tax, it ends up being around $120.
And I'll say this, first of all, the food is worth it.
I'm getting a tomahawk, and it's $180.
But not just the food, but the experience itself.
I strongly recommend.
The experience itself is worth it. There was a lot of brothers last year who backed out when they saw the prices, and they regretted it because this dinner was the topic. Granted, we didn't talk about what we talked about in the dinner, but the dinner itself was a conversation that was held in many places, because it was pretty great.
Yeah, I still have brothers just ask me when.
Me too.
And I've had brothers say, hey, so make sure that you send this guy an invitation and this guy an invitation, because I know he wanted to go. He couldn't make it last year, but he wanted to go. And so I know that we'll fill up the seats pretty quick.
Yeah, it's going to be fast.
I haven't decided on the speaker. If it wasn't for the different banquets and stuff going on, I would invite Robert to speak at the dinner, but I think that he'll need to be tied up with other things while we're doing our dinner. So, in fairness, I'll probably have an alternate speaker. We need to have an alternate. We need to talk about that. But anyways, man, table set, and it's going to be the hall dining room just like last time, which, it's huge. It's about the size of the entire other part of the restaurant. In all honesty, it's like we have our own restaurant to ourselves. Mm-hmm. We have a full dining staff to ourselves. We have a full bar to ourselves. Every bit of it is just phenomenal. And then we'll make sure and have a toast when we hear the bagpipes. We'll all be upstanding and have a toast to to the guys that are doing the pub crawl, because they'll be going right past our dining hall when we do it. It's exciting. Grand Lodge is right around the corner, guys, and the resolutions are coming out soon. They're still in jurisprudence right now, by the way. I
Is it because there's so many, or because they're complicated?
A little bit of both.
Can't wait.
when you have regular guys trying to write resolutions, it's tough enough getting them to put the whereas and the whereas and the whereas, and then putting in the let's do this resolution. It's tough enough just getting that form, and then you add actual, terms of law, where a may and a shall mean two completely different things. Then it takes a lot of work for jurisprudence. So God bless them; they got the work cut out for them.
Yeah.
But they're working on that right now. We'll have that conversation very soon on Masonic improvement.
What was that?
I don't know. That was weird.
Because Jeff didn't say anything. Daniel's muted. That was weird. Did you hear it? Like the laugh? Did nobody hear that?
Now,
I heard it.
Yeah,
okay.
I heard it.
I heard it.
I was like, where did that come from?
It's them.
It's them.
They're listening.
The Illuminati.
Hey,
Yes.
real quick, going back to the dinner,
Go ahead.
Dennis, is that a when it's sold out? It's sold out, or is there a date tied to that to get that reservation and paid?
There will be a date to it. It's going to be 10 days before will be the final date, and that's because they need to order the menu. They need to order the food and everything specifically for us because it's a huge party. And so yes, it'll be 10 days before the event.
Like 1/8, so January 8th, because it's on the 18th for the Grand Lodge.
Yes.
But probably the sooner the better to sign up just to reserve your spot, right?
Definitely.
Yes, because there's only going to be so many seats. Last year we said 50 and we ended up having 55. Having 5 more is okay, but when we're talking about close to 100 people, having 20 more is not okay.
Yeah.
So
because that room could probably it can handle 100, but it's going to be big. It's going to be full.
I don't know that I want that many. We'll see. When we get closer to the event, I may just cut it off and stop sending the link out. Yeah. Because that's what's going to happen is that I'm going to send a link to anyone that's going to have an opportunity to have dinner with us. If you don't get a link, you're not going to have the opportunity. It's not a come and pay kind of thing.
Cool.
So that's happening. Resolutions are coming soon. We're going to record. Did that other brother, have you talked to him about the interview that he approached you with?
No, not yet, because I know you said you had some people coming up. And
okay, go ahead and talk to him. Let's do that ASAP.
Okay.
Before we release the last one that we did.
Understood. We'll do. Because
I kind of want.
You just want me to set it up as soon as possible? Because I thought we had some people already inked in.
Well, we do, but if you can set them up next week, that'd be
good. Okay, I'll talk to him. I'll reach out.
Yeah, because
I was wondering about that,
then,
so that'd be good.
Yeah, because I really want to release the last one, but I want to wait until after we record this one.
Okay.
Just so that there's no unfairness and.
Yeah, I get where you come from. We can do that.
Okay. And then let's see. We have several people that are coming on, and in fact, I talked to Brother Brian Bird, and he's coming down to Grand Lodge this year. He was invited by Grand Lodge to come down. I guess it's if you can't beat them, join them kind of a thing. Not just kidding. But he's coming down for our grand session.
Cool.
That'll be cool. He won't be able to make the dinner. He's got other things that he'll have to do as part of that he'll be doing with the Grand Lodge, banquets and stuff like that. Getting the full experience, the full Grand Lodge experience, which is cool.
Our dinner is the full Grand Lodge experience. What are you talking about?
I'm telling you, he just has no idea. He has no idea.
But that's fine.
But no, he's coming down on assignment. He's coming down as press, kind of doing a thing. So that's gonna be cool. What else do I know? Got a lot of Christmas. Dangerous. Got a lot of Christmas coming up. Yeah, that just about wraps it up for me. I had a lot to say, huh?
Yeah,
always do. Always do. But back on topic, the discussion was great tonight. I really enjoyed it. And I'm sorry if some of you got offended because of the talking politics and stuff like that. But, if you can't talk about it like we did in a non-threatening manner to anyone, how can you talk about it? We didn't tell you what to believe. We just said, don't force your shit down somebody else's throat. That's fair, right?
I think it's fair.
And remember that, we get, no matter what side of the subject you're on, we could ostracize brothers when we start getting too fanatical with our beliefs, whether it be politics or religion. I mean, and I'm not talking about magical beliefs in religion. I'm talking about Christian beliefs in religion. We can ostracize brothers that aren't Christian if we're fanatical in the way we think on that too. That's not what Freemasonry is about. We're here to bridge that gap, to be the solution. I don't know if any of y'all had a chance to listen to the that other podcast I told you about with the Bible charts.
Nope, I subscribe to them and I added it to my favorites. I just hadn't watched it yet.
Dude,
not to my favorites, but to my watch laters. I'll watch it on my way to work tomorrow. I forgot about it, but I'll watch it tomorrow.
Yeah, do the first one that the one that for me it came up when I typed in who wrote the Bible, I think.
Yeah.
Or who wrote the books of the Bible. And then it had the basic chart.
It's like their top video, so it's not hard to find. You can find them.
Yeah, it's the introductory one. Yes. And then you have the next one that you should watch is Introduction to the Bible. That one is great. That's when it takes a little bit of a deep dive into each part that they talk about in that first one. So I highly recommend it. In fact, I have my wife and daughter listening to it with me because I think it's that important. Because one of the things that he says in there is that it's not that he's telling you not to believe a certain thing, but you should understand whether you're believing in something based on faith or based on facts. And as long as you understand that, believe whatever you want to. Mm-hmm. But just know why you believe what you believe. And don't mistake faith for facts. Because it's not always that way. And that's exactly why I have my daughter listening to it. She does the homeschooling we do is kind of Christian, and she does that. So I wanted her to hear this way also, so that it's fact driven and not just faith driven. So anyways, now that I got into a different subject, Brian Bird has agreed to come on the show as well.
Cool.
From the Old Fashioned Masonic podcast. He'll come on the show as well. We'll have a cross show. I meant to say one thing and then I lost it. So that's cool. We got that coming up as well. We got, and that's where my mind went.
That's what I thought you were going.
And I had to stop. That's so funny that you knew exactly what I was going to say.
It's not like we haven't been doing this for several hours for several weeks.
I know, right? But he's too classy for me to say that. Now that I know him pretty good, I think he's too classy for me to use him in that way. I feel just dirty. But but anyways, that's going to be a good show. This has been a good show. I appreciate you all. If you like us, subscribe. If you love us, join the inner circle. You'll get a lot more out of it. And in fact, we're due for an inner circle only pretty soon.
Yeah, I agree.
So we need to come up with a special time to do that. Maybe next week we don't go live and we just do an inner circle only, and do it and hash out some of the stuff that we talk about behind the scenes.
We can do that. No problem at all.
All right. Well, brothers, thank you for joining us. We love you, and keep it between the points.
Later.